Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 101 of Beer Nuts, the podcast Adjunct series. This evening, this is something I've been waiting for a while. We've been trying to get this happen for a few months now, and I'm super stoked. So, obviously the last couple of years, we haven't been able to, get around like we used to. We used to do a lot of traveling here on BAOS, do a lot of pods, all over, I guess, Eastern Canada, around the States. So this is the, this is the way we're getting ourselves, we're able to showcase breweries that we're not actually physically at, and I'm loving this right now. So we've never actually covered a brewery from New York, now I think about it. So this is the first one. These guys are super hyped. I've had the pleasure of having a few of their beers at this point, and everything is just so exceptional. I'm genuinely excited to try a few different styles and get the full story. So please welcome Josh and Jared from Mortalis in New York State. Welcome, guys. How y'all doing? Oh fuck! I didn't unmute it. I knocked the mute. There we go. We got you. Apologies.
I thought I was muted.
Yeah, no, it's my bad. I normally just keep the mute so you don't have to keep quiet. I don't know why the mute button isn't sensitive. But welcome, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Genuinely stoked to get the story and get into some of these bad boys. We are going to start with this one right here. This gorgeous looking can. Is it Laertes? Laertes? How do you say it?
Laertes?
Yeah,
Laertes.
Okay.
Laertes.
Beautiful. Perfect. So this is the Crispy. Obviously the perfect way to start this off. 5%. Tell us about this one, guys.
So this is part of, you'll see the little logo off to the side that it says 8-bit on there.
Yes.
The 8-bit is a little bit more spin-off for traditional beer for us.
Okay.
So, we're really known for heavily adjuncted beers. This series, the customer knows that they're getting something that's going to be a little more traditional.
Okay.
We went pretty much German style. German yeast, Zeus Hallertau hops.
Zeus Hallertau. It's a German style overall. So you said like a Hatless or something?
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Little more hop character, a little more firm bitterness on this one. When we first opened, I think we were even quoted saying we would never brew a lager, but things have evolved for the best.
Yes.
And so now I'm Crispies.
Love it. Gentlemen, pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers. Get it in ya.
Get it in you. Oh, hell yeah. It's definitely on brand for you guys to be doing Crispies with, a lot of the other styles that you're well known for. This is great, man. So this is more, so
Sure.
you're doing it's like, like you said, the 8-bit is letting people know this isn't a smoothie or a pastry stout or something like that, something more traditional, but I imagine there's sort of like a bit of a twist that you sort of, the Mortalis twist to it? Or do you try and keep it on really traditional?
We did, the 1 8-bit, we did a Hephaestus and we added some blood orange, but very small quantity.
Okay.
We're not pulverizing it with fruit like a Hydra. We've done a Scotch ale.
We did a wheat ale with
rice
some lime
law.
zest too.
Nice.
Okay. Oh yeah, yep. So, but
Okay.
they're
And
all
all
going to be
video game-
very subtle if we do manipulate the beer in any way.
Okay. That makes sense.
They're all supposed to be video game, with the label. So that's like the old game Contra is kind of the font on that one.
Okay, I'll write that down. Contra font. Sick, man. No, this is super solid. I think I was checking out your website the other day, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys were doing a breadth of styles, like some of the ones you mentioned. That obviously you're known for doing all the crazy stuff all the kids are talking about, but you definitely seem like from the site that the stuff that's on premise, like you were saying, Jared, with the wheat and I swear I saw like an amber or something, like sort of more traditional stuff like that. Is that
Sure.
Is that just to say?
Yeah.
Why do you guys do those beers? I imagine it's just a different audience you're catering to.
Sure, and I know Jared for sure loves Pilsner. So we're starting to brew. That was always the idea. We'll brew the beer that we want to drink. If everyone else enjoys it, then that's great. So this is something that we really wanted to start doing, especially with the lager. Um, we just brewed a rice lager that's going now. We pretty much have a tank now dedicated to this 8-bit series, whether it be lagers or the Scotch Ale or the half, things like that. We're going to be doing a Doppelbock coming up and getting more into a lot of the traditional styles.
That's very cool, man. It seems like a cool, unexpected addition to your lineup, so that people can come in the brew pub and it'll be completely different than maybe what they not completely different. There's you can bring your non-beer nerd mate along and they'll find something for them. That they might be more familiar with.
And the can that you're drinking, we only canned off a small quantity of that, really just to bring to festivals and give out to friends and employees, and the rest went into kegs, and it's all just that's what we're pouring on site is just kegs of Laertes right now.
Okay. And
it also gives people an option, a low ABV option, because normally, I mean, basically with us, we're brewing everything 7% and above. Right. So it gives it somebody a crusher, I guess, something you can, ease your way into craft beer type of deal. So
I love it, man. I think that's a really cool addition. Obviously, Crispies seems to it's taken off heavily in Canada. I imagine that you guys are always ahead of the curve, so I imagine that it started there. And do you guys can the other 8-bit series, or is it the same thing where you just can some?
There's a range.
I would say a majority. Yeah, majority is probably going into kegs now, but a good amount still makes it into cans. Most of these are 10-barrel batches, so it's nothing too huge. But this specific Pilsner, we did a 5-barrel, and now all of them are going to be 10-barrel, just so we can have a little more volume out of it. We have a wide variety of tank sizes, but we seem like 10-barrel is a good size for these kind of one-offs.
What would you do for maybe one of the core lines? What sort of size batches?
All the Hydras are 20-barrel batches. That's the biggest tank we have. So we're still brewing on a 5-barrel system. Luckily with Hydra, a lot of it is fruit. So, you're really only brewing about half beer to half fruit. But yeah, I'd say a majority of the big brands are 20-barrel. All of our IPAs are 10-barrel batches too.
10 as well. Okay.
So we rarely do a 20-barrel IPA batch.
Okay, that makes sense. Is that to keep it is that like a supply and demand thing? Or?
It's we're still operating out of a very small tap room. COVID kind of flipped everything on us. We tore out a majority of our tap room when that all happened and put in more tanks. So now it's still a very small tap room. It's hard to move a ton of volume on tap. We do have plans and construction starting very soon for a brand new tap room. So that may change how we are packaging for sure.
Okay, would that mean you'd lean more towards kegs to fulfill that larger tap room?
Probably more towards kegging off a lot more, depending on how much we're going through and what styles. A lot of people come in, they're buying a lot of the Hydras in cans and our stouts in bottles. But something like this Pilsner, people do buy it in cans, but we like that for mainly draft.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense. Do these how do people receive this series, say in the cans? Obviously, you guys would be very, would trade fodder essentially. People would be, out in Cali or whatever, gagging for it. So people in New York who can get it would be able to trade it out and stuff. Are these sort of because it's Mortalis, the branding alone, the name attached to it, does that make it more desirable? Is it still a fair interest, or is it a completely different sort of market for the other type of beers?
It depends,
I
in all honesty.
yeah,
We've kind of we've tried to slowly introduce this series because, like Josh said, we are known for the big pastry stouts, the fruited sours. So, we wanted to get a little bit more variety in there as well. So it's been a little mixed in the beginning, but I think people are now kind of understanding what the 8-bit series is all about.
Gotcha. Sick. I feel like that usually, usually at the very least, I can't speak to the other styles, but Crispies are sort of like pretty heavily in demand from what I've seen, at least out here, for breweries that do similar things to you guys. It seems completely on brand, and it's like, you're about to have all these very intense beers if you go visit, so, why not start with something, or like break it up with something a little more approachable and not too intense, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say a majority of people that are coming in, they'll take a risk on like a Hydra that they've never had. I don't think they're going to take a risk as much on, say, a Pilsner from Mortalis. The people that are buying those are the fans that have been there. They know that they like Pilsners. They want these new lagers that are pushing up, because a lot of people that come in, they don't want to pay a premium price for a Pilsner. They just don't see the value in it. But I think that's a lot of craft beer is heading back towards traditional and low ABV, which is great. So we're just, following along and trying to brew the best styles that we can.
Interesting you mentioned that. I was talking to a brewery out here recently who are very similar to you guys. They do all the same, smoothies and big stouts, and they're really popular for the haze. And they were saying that the demand for their double IPAs has significantly dropped, and now they're leaning more into like big bodied pale ales and like 6.5% IPAs. Are you seeing a similar trend, both with your offerings and then maybe the scene in general?
I don't think so, especially in our area. I think still the double IPA haze is pretty
Killing
much king for what everyone, we have so many amazing hazy breweries close by. It's just it's just everywhere. Right down the road we have Other Half. There's Fiden's that's close. There's Equilibrium, like these big names that everyone's chasing, and they're all over. And a lot of those are double IPAs still. I would love if everyone wanted to buy pale ales, and we can pack in a lot of hop saturation into a 5%er, but there's still the customer that comes in and only wants double IPA.
Interesting. Do you think that'll change, or do you think? I mean, maybe it's just like what I heard from this. No, I mean,
I
maybe,
would say
maybe not in
eventually.
our area. Eventually,
yeah.
Because I don't know why you could have 2 beers or 4. I mean, I would rather have the lower ABV and 2 double IPAs back to back. You're definitely feeling it from that.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
it's nice just to be able to I want to be able to sit on my couch and have a few beers and just relax and get to and not get hammered.
Yeah.
Wake up at a decent time the next morning.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting tomorrow, goddammit. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was just wondering because I guess the brewery said to me specifically, they said, I think it's a trend. Both everybody has put on a lot of weight. Well, everybody, a lot of people, or most people, have put on a lot of weight over the last couple of years due to sedentary behaviors. Not really of their choice, and also kind of hits the pocket a bit more. Double IPAs do cost more than pales and single IPAs, so potentially that. And like that makes sense. But then again, I know the type. I know what you're talking about. I've got a few friends here. They won't even touch the single IPAs. Like if I'm trading with someone or going to drink, they don't give me the single. I had to convince this one dude to even try. I gave him like 3 or 4 lagers. I'm like, just please try these and like see how you feel. And he said he liked them in the end. But I think it's like maybe there's this mental hurdle where the double
think that's
IPA.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. They just want. I don't know if it's the ABV thing, or they just think that anything below a double, you just can't get that mouthfeel and hop saturation. I don't know what it is.
which obviously is untrue. And if anyone's going to do a killer, it's
Right.
going to be you guys. Like,
Yeah, you know, it's we try. It's we have it. We just did Artemis is our pale. That's we hop it, almost as much as some of the doubles, and I thought it came out great. And it moves, but it doesn't move as fast as the doubles.
interesting. Okay. So maybe it could be obviously, the invisible border. There are, people's drinking habits are pretty different, even between Quebec and Ontario, and I imagine between New York and Vermont.
Sure.
Every region has their thing, but
Even with the trading game now, it could be different. I mean, people could be buying those up because we see people ship our stuff across the country, all over the world even. So it could even be partially for people who are outside of New York and can't really get it within their market. So that could be a factor with that as well.
Yeah, true. And if they're going to get hold of anything, they're probably going to want the double. If you're going to get your hands on the first stuff, they're going to want to double the pastry and one of the salads.
Sure.
So, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Okay, sick. So let's get the story down. So we can start with whoever, but I want to know how you both discovered and got into craft beer, and then how that led to, why we're talking today.
Josh, you go first.
Sure. All right. So I, long time ago, did a stovetop homebrew with my dad, and came out awful. We dumped it all, and that kind of just sparked my interest. We did a few more. They never really were that refined, honestly. And then I went away to college, came back from college, and was living with some guys, and I got really big into a lot of the older Sam Adams Imperial Series bottles, Magic Hat Number 9. I loved that beer. And then Torpedo from Sierra Nevada. And I just really wanted to try to start brewing stuff like that, and really got into it. And then made a trade with a local trade with another home brewer, which was Paul, which is now one of my partners. He brought over some home brews. They were killer, and we started brewing together. And then I met Dave, and then their wives, which are all my partners now. So all through just home brewing, and never thought it would come to this. And when I met them, they said that they had this project going, that they were trying to start a brewery up, and I was just brewing a lot with them, and then it just slowly just came on board, and now here we are, almost 4 years, and that's how we met Jared. So he can tell you how he came on board.
We met on Instagram. Jared and I met on Instagram years ago, and Jared and his missus came up here. It was either 2018 or it was 2018, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And we
Summer
hung out
2018.
Yeah, summer 2018. And at the time, we were just saying, before we went on, that you were not working. I think you got into Mortalis a year later, but obviously you're a passionate craft beer dude. You're posting about it on Instagram. You came out to a beer event out here, and you went to breweries all across the city. But yeah, man, how did it all happen for you?
I would say started in college. When I was in college, especially my senior year, I was living with 5 other guys. We were in a townhouse, and we started to drink a lot of local craft stuff. A friend of mine and his girlfriend at the time, they started working at Rohrbach, a local brew pub, and that kind of sparked it. She would bring home growlers of just whatever they had, probably like their blueberry ale, their pilot, or their flagship stuff, like their Scotch ale. So we started drinking that. Started branching out to other styles. Started drinking a lot of the Kind IPA from Three Heads. And then when CB Craft Brewers was around, we drank a lot of Caged Alpha Monkey, which was their IPA. So we started there, and then shortly after college, I got into extract brewing, and I brewed quite a bit with extract, and then made the jump to all grain, and eventually started to figure that this was where I wanted to be in terms of career. So I was looking for part-time jobs everywhere, and I finally landed a part-time bartending gig at Mortalis. And the times that I was able to talk with Josh and Dave, we'd have company outings, and I would always tell them like, "Hey, I want to quit my my desk job and come and brew full time." And obviously, we had been drinking at the time, so they didn't fully believe me, which I understand. But when the pandemic hit, like Josh said, they took that opportunity to expand production and called me in for an interview and offered me the position shortly after. So I
Amazing.
couldn't turn it down. So I've been there ever since. That was like June. That was June of 2020.
Nice. 2 years almost this month.
Yep, almost. Yeah, I think it was like middle of June.
Amazing, dude. That's fantastic. So the name, I was always curious about the name. What does it mean and where did it come from?
So the name stems from mortal, um, and getting more into the Greek mythology, and that we all are mortal, and we really like the human connection, and with that human connection, I think there's no better thing to have a beer with someone and have that connection and conversation. And even when we first opened, we debated not even having TVs because we wanted people talking to each other, not just watching TVs. And it's very important to us. Eventually, we did put in some TVs, but um, those always just had on like Bob Ross painting or whatever, so it wasn't anything too crazy going on. But yeah, that's so. And with that name, and you get into the Greek mythology, it just makes the naming convention that much easier. You can follow. It could. It doesn't even have to be a god or a goddess. You can get into just general ideas, and I think like this is one of the other cans, but like just our classic black and copper with the spacescape. Really love the whole connection with space and. Just we have a huge mural that was painted in the brewery that just looks like a huge scene from like just a cosmic painting, and it's really cool, and that's how our branding came about.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, I noticed that theme across the board, but I kind of didn't put two and two together until when we were discussing which beers, and I didn't really notice the names. And you guys are saying these words. I'm like, what the hell are you saying? And I guess they're all Greek god names, and
Yep.
which is super cool. The artwork, my favorite one is the As Above, So Below. The name is so sick. I don't even know what it's from, but and also the artwork is just insane. Like that huge sky.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
beautiful, man.
We have a local company, Even Odd Creative, and they do all of our labels, and the two girls there are just
Killer.
we give them such little information, and the first proof that comes through is it's just great every single time.
I love it. What is the As Above, So Below from? Is that like a poem or like just out of curiosity?
It's
There's a long
so
story there.
It's a long
when
one.
I
Okay.
I homebrewed that beer, and it uses a coffee that's Jamaican Me Crazy coffee, the flavor. So when I homebrewed it, called Sanka You Dead from Cool Runnings,
Mhm.
and it didn't when we opened the brewery, that didn't really fit our naming convention. And I was watching the movie As Above, So Below one night, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And I looked into like the whole idea of that, and I'm like, well, this is like the microcosm, macrocosm, and like the space, and like, oh, hey, this fits the branding. It sounds cool, and that's the way we went with it.
Sick. I feel like I've heard that saying just around, so I didn't
Yeah,
really understand what it meant, but it's just definitely one of my favorite labels like ever. I just love the whole thing. Everything comes together beautiful. Okay, I definitely want to get more into the label and the branding after as well. So when you
cool.
guys were homebrewing and sort of starting it, did you guys have a a plan in mind as far as like, all right, we're gonna do a brewery that's like, was it just we're gonna make beer, or was it like, all right, we're gonna do these style, this is gonna be our thing? Like, did you have that sort of approach?
Yeah, it was we wanted hazy IPAs, big stouts, and uh, kettle sours. At the time, we had never done any kind of heavily fruited beer. We actually were brewing our first kettle sours weeks before we even opened, still on test batches, because we started originally with fruited sour IPAs, similar to like what Hudson Valley was doing. We loved those beers, so we wanted to do something like that. And it wasn't until we were open for a little while that someone brought in a few crowlers of some of the fruited stuff from the Answer, and we tried it, and we're like, we need to figure this out.
Right.
So that's how Hydra was born. Paul came up with this idea, like, all right, let's do a three-headed dragon and three fruits, and we just started the beginning. Learning how to make those stable is very interesting at first. There was definitely some crowlers that got a little happy over time, but I think we have it pretty dialed in now.
I was saying, I agree wholeheartedly. That's sick. I was telling Jared, we did a little trade earlier this year, and one of the sours I had a few weeks ago, the smoothies, I checked Untapped. I'm pretty sure it was canned at the beginning of last year, and if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have been able to tell from the product. And I was always stressed when Jared was sending, I was like, oh, they like old? He's like, no, they're good, man, trust me, it's all good. I'm like, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
And I've just never experienced that, because whenever I get smoothies, I'm always stressing, like, I've got like 2 weeks tops to kind of get these guys.
Yeah.
And whatever. I don't know if you want to talk about it now, if you want to wait till we get to the smoothie, but I'm definitely curious to see how, like, as much as you're able to share. I understand if it's something you keep close, but there's something that you're doing that's pretty spectacular as far as what you're doing for that stability on such a famously unstable beer style.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a few different things that we're doing to the base beer. First, it's a very extremely high ABV base, and these bases are finishing super dry to the point where we've almost stressed the yeast so much that it really can't do much anymore. They're finishing like 0 Plato and below, so they're very dry. We're using some additives to help prevent re-fermentation, and we also have a centrifuge on site, so we are able to centrifuge that base beer and get rid of pretty much any other yeast in there, and then the fruit gets added. So that's the way we're able to keep them very stable. We did a lot of testing, a lot of just leaving cans out, putting them in the back of cars and just driving around and like, all right, let's open this and see what happens. And we've been, knock on wood, been very lucky with any kind of re-fermentation.
Amazing. I mean, it doesn't sound like luck to me. That seems like science, goddammit.
Lot of trial and error, really.
Yeah.
We definitely had some our fair share of exploders in the early days.
Yeah, I guess it's part of the game, right? So, I mean, you guys do pasteurize at all?
Sure.
I've heard that's something that people are doing, yeah? Or there's no need because the centrifuge takes stuff out?
No, we don't. There are definitely some breweries that I know that pasteurize, and they have great luck with that.
Okay.
It's just an added step that we didn't see necessary. And with, like you said, with the longevity that you wouldn't even have known, it's not a pasteurized product, and it's still fruit in there, but it's still, they seem to hold for a substantial amount of time.
Yeah. Is that more than you expected even? Because like say it was a year and a quarter or something like that. That's pretty crazy. For a beer
it
of
still
that
blows
style.
my mind.
Yeah.
It still is fruit. Granted the fruit that we're getting is aseptic. It doesn't need to be refrigerated, but it still does have a life of some kind.
Yeah.
But once it goes into the beer with that, the right environment with the right pH, and they just seem to, even, I've had some that at the brewery that are unrefrigerated, and we put them in the fridge and you pull it out and it still tastes just like one that was refrigerated the whole time. It's interesting. I never thought it would. We always had right on all of our cans, keep cold, drink fresh. We always push that when we release the beer, that's when we think it's peak, and that's when you should drink it.
Right. So
I think the only issue we ever have is like that separation in the can. If people don't roll the can or like flip it over, then you get like all that boozy beer on top and then all the puree at the bottom.
At the bottom, right? Yeah, this gets clunky in there. Do you guys? Would you say that like do your smoothies last longer than, I mean, don't say any names or whatever, but from other ones around that you've had? Like, do you think you guys, are you guys doing something that different that other smoothies aren't lasting as long? Like,
No.
have you like cracked the code or something, or is it like it's pretty common? Because just for me, that's pretty exceptional. That's it.
No.
No, I think no, I think there's other breweries, especially ones that we've collaborated with on these smoothies that I've had some of them that are definitely older and they seem to hold up very well.
Okay. So it's not. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of breweries in the past few years. Obviously, it's a more common beer style, but in the beginning, there wasn't a whole lot of breweries really doing it. So if one of those breweries has a lot of issues, then I think the perception was that style must do that.
Right.
If one type or one smoothie beer explodes, now okay, everyone is going to explode. I think that's what people started thinking, and that's not the case.
I think for the most part too, especially early on when that was a newer style, like Josh said, we were all trying to figure it out together. There were some breweries that got there quicker than others, but I think for the most part now, most of them have the trade secrets in order to help those with being more shelf stable.
Okay, so it's a pretty common thing. I've had some recently. I was telling Darren before that from here that maybe a couple months old and they completely kind of separate. And I feel like they remind me of like an old hazy IPA that starts to become a shadow of its former self. It's just a bit muted in the flavors, and I've noticed that with some smoothies. So, being that there was something, and this is something I've kept refrigerated for the whole time, and then having your stuff, and in comparison, it would just seem like okay, maybe there's something that you guys, or maybe once again, America's always ahead of Canada as far as most things in the world, but also particularly with beer, like we're following your lead, so. Maybe there's just a bit of work that people have to do. Or maybe they're not centrifuging them. I've never heard anyone even mention it before, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think there's other, centrifuge, obviously, even for a brewery of our sizes, I don't think very common. They're very pricey, so a lot of breweries do not invest in them early on. It was something we really wanted, mainly for that stability portion. But I think some of the other breweries maybe... we brew a lot of this beer, a lot of it, and like I said, we've learned a lot. So, yeah, you might be able to get into the scene with the fruited sour type stuff or the smoothie sours, but I think it just takes time to dial in your process and where are you getting your fruit from? Are you using fruit concentrate, fruit puree? So there's all these different notes that we have that we've learned because we've done hundreds and hundreds of Hydra variants.
Practice makes perfect type of thing.
We get a lot of breweries get in hop samples. We get in samples of different purees. We'll get in 3 different raspberries and try them. Like, okay, this is the one we want.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we're constantly trying different types of purees and concentrates.
I did notice that you guys have a really eclectic. Variation of even just the ones that I've even seen, whether it's on Instagram, since I've been sort of paying more attention, the ones that Jared got me, and now the new lot. Like, it's like you guys, I haven't really even seen like dragon fruit and stuff. Like, it's like you guys, I feel like you're using like such interesting combinations. So I guess if you're doing literally hundreds, you kind of have no choice but to get crazy creative and like, but drilling down to which raspberry, that's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
we've even dialed in
this
certain
raspberry
fruits
will work
in terms
with
of that.
Yeah. No, totally. Sorry, Jared.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Like, especially with dragon fruit, I remember we used to get actual frozen dragon fruit chunks and run them through a blender, and that's how we used to put them in a beer.
Yeah, it took hours. Just like a kitchen like juicer and just juice it for 8 hours straight of juicing, and that's just buckets of dragon fruit juice.
It created a mess too.
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like a crime scene. Like, it was terrible.
Big shit everywhere.
But we've even improved on that, so that's also helped us out tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. There was something else I noticed, I think, since we're talking about it. So, obviously, smoothie sours became popular in Canada, I want to say, like, right around when the pandemic started. So, like, I traveled a lot previously to that, but I never really found them or even heard that much about them whenever I was in the States. So I kind of didn't get to have much from the States. And I had most of the ones from here, and I think Canada does some really, really great stuff. I noticed your stuff is probably, I was about to say significantly, it's a lot sweeter than the Canadian smoothie. So I was just wondering if there was something to that. Like, I feel like American food products typically have more additives like salt and sugar in general. Not that much more in Canada, but I'm from Australia, so coming from Australia even to Canada was a jump in that type of thing for me whenever I visit the States, and the portions are larger, high fructose corn syrup and everything type of shit. But yeah, yep. I was wondering then if it's not like sweet in like a negative way at all. It was just like an observation in the difference between them. So I was wondering if the sweetness had anything to do with the longevity or the stability, or even it was just like it's why your stuff is so damn good. Like I was curious where that came from.
I don't really have a good answer for that. I think it's just the sweetness just came from, we were targeting a specific consistency to where the Hydra is going to be thick and like a smoothie, and right. To achieve that, your fruit volume is just so high, and there's just so much sugar in fruit to begin with. I think that's where that sweetness is coming from.
That makes sense. Just go balls to the wall a little harder. That's really all it is. Okay.
Yep.
And I feel like, maybe it's the different combinations, because once again, using such interesting combinations, and they're probably higher sugar fruit sometimes or whatever. But okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. Do you guys want to go to the next beer?
Sure.
So, which one do we want to do? I know we've got two different IPAs we're going to crack. There's the Zeus and the H1.
Let's do Zeus.
Let's do Zeus?
Yeah.
Zeus, please. Thank you.
Yeah, this is one that Dave and Paul were homebrewing a lot before the brewery opened, and it took us quite some time to get it to where we were happy with it on full production. A lot of batches brewed, and at one point we were just like, well, I guess this is just a beer we're never going to be able to nail. And finally, I think we're to the point where we're quite happy with it.
You got there. Amazing. What are the hops in this one, man?
This is Citra, Amarillo, Columbus, and Simcoe, I believe. Okay. They're all
on the can?
Older. Nothing of the newer. Because this beer, when they were brewing it, was right in the beginning, like before, like all the new like sexy hops were being used, like when Citra and Amarillo were like a crazy combo.
Right. So how old is this recipe then? Probably like 5+ years? Longer?
Probably about 6 years old.
Damn. It's, you always kind of forget, I guess. When did New England IPA sort of come out? Like 2015, 2016?
A little bit earlier
sounds
than
right.
that.
Maybe even earlier. Yeah, I think when they really gained popularity, there was times I can remember taking trips with friends. We could do a round trip we could hit up Treehouse, Trillium, and maybe one other brewery. We could go there and back, and it was about a 12.5-hour round trip. And we do it in a day.
That's pretty crazy.
And that was when you'd go to Treehouse and you'd get like 8 cans of beer and a growler fill.
Oh wow! Like before the the people, what do they call them? Like the dollies with like 8 cases that you always see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People are wild. Okay, sorry. It was Citra, Amarillo, Simcoe, and
Columbus.
Columbus.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, man, it's got a wicked head. The smell of the nose is huge. Like, really citrusy.
Yep. Yeah, this it gets a pretty large dry hop. We really don't do any kind of like double dry hopping technique. We just use a large quantity in one hit, and that's pretty much every beer that we've done. I think we've only double dry hopped a few times. Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just how we've always done it. Things seem to be working right out of the gate. I think our IPAs were not necessarily sought after or talked about. It's something that we've really, I think, over probably the past year or so, Jared, right? That we've really tried to hammer down some new techniques on these and dial it in.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's changed significantly since we started, and it's all for the best for sure.
Okay. What did you that you could talk about? Like, what sort of techniques did you sort of change for these bad boys?
Just a longer mash rest.
Everything from the grains that we were using. Yeah.
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 We pretty much revamped it.
Controlling the pH was huge for us.
Get that head retention in there.
Yeah, the head is insane. My God.
Yep. The head retention was a big thing. And then just the yeasts that we were using. I think we've tried probably 5 or 6 different yeasts. Now we've got it narrowed down to 2 that we really like using. Fermentation temperatures. We were just looking at every bit of what we were doing, because they were okay in my opinion, but they weren't something that like some of these like Trillium or Treehouse beers like that I can remember opening my first Trillium bottle, and the aroma that came out of that thing in the room, I was just like mind blown.
Right.
And that was when, crazy that they came in like those 22-ounce bottles. But I can remember drinking those, and I was like, I want that wow factor. I want that nose and that color.
Okay. I love it. I'm getting a lot of, speaking of Trillium Treehouse, this is giving me Treehouse vibes. It has been a while since I've had them, but I always found that Treehouse had that kind of dank, sort of citrusy versus, say, Trillium had that kind of more brighter yellow beer versus maybe Treehouse is a little more oranger. This is giving me like so much dankness on this. It's that was all intentional, or is that because of the older hop build that you mentioned before?
That's older hop bill, and again, this is when Paul and Dave were really brewing this beer. This was targeting the beers that they loved drinking, which was Treehouse at the time. So that's what they were. They're kind of going for that, and so you have Zeus and Hera are probably our most like core double IPAs that use some older hops, and they probably the oldest IPA recipes we have.
Okay. Mentioned like sort of core lines. What do you guys have any like flagship or like very regular beers that like every time people come in they're going to be able to get that, or is it sort of like quasi core?
It's more like a series type of deal.
Okay.
So like with Hydra, there's I think what was the first like Hydra was like was it the blueberry
passion fruit mango peach?
Passion fruit mango peach.
Yeah.
But we've had like the core series, so we've had that, like our Tears of the Goddess series type of deal. But other than that, we really just switch up in terms of fruits and adjuncts that we use. There's not really a quote unquote flagship, I would say.
Like in any style?
We have the one series of the Old Man Berrima IPA that we changed the hop, and it's always one New Zealand hop that gets changed. But for like a core, no. But like all of our hazies look like this. They're all going to have that same. It's going to be a Greek god or goddess. It'll be just the outline of it, and it's going to be the black and gold can.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be, so even if it's not this exact beer, is this the type of beer, so say people really love Zeus, you said it's an older recipe, it's been around, it makes regular appearances, but maybe it's not all the time.
Yep.
Is it like, whatever, 4 times a year, something like that? Like you just...
Yeah, we probably brew this like 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yep.
I love that.
Specific one.
I really like that. I learned that from what's it called? Burlington Beer Co. in Burlington, Vermont. They always were the first time I ever saw they had their the wizard, complicated being a wizard. That was the one that would come every 2-3 months. It would always be there. Wouldn't always be there, but you're gonna always want to get it. So it keeps it regular enough so that they can actually get a recipe and tweak. Whilst when it does come back, you're like, maybe every other visit it's not there. Like, fuck, I really want a visit today. Okay, the next visit, boom, and this is the same with some stuff like this. I really thought that was like a super smart just way to approach it, because I feel like I've heard a lot of criticism, and this is probably another question, and I've heard a lot of criticism across the board from, about breweries that, and this applies to most breweries, I guess, but maybe some breweries don't get to drill down their recipes to perfect it because of the consumer demand, and the consumer demand is what's new, what haven't I have.
Absolutely.
And I imagine for you both, obviously you're not trying to be a production machine and do the same beer every other day because that's boring as hell. But, being able to perfect a recipe, like you said, you did the revamp recently to improve these beers. How do you guys feel about sort of that as far as I guess the delicate balance between novelty and, perfecting something that's important to you?
Yeah, I definitely see that all the time, where the consumer does want what's new. Every week they come in, they don't want to see the same beers, and that is absolutely the case. We were lucky enough that we kind of changed up the way our tanks are now, where we have 6 10-barrel tanks, and at any given time we probably have 4 of those filled with IPAs.
Okay.
So we are able to, when we're brewing at least one IPA a week, sometimes 2, it helps, as opposed to what we used to do, which was probably once a month we were brewing an IPA. So that's really hard to, because, like I said, the IPAs just weren't really doing all that great. Everyone wanted Hydra and they wanted the stouts, so that's what we were brewing like crazy, and we just throw an IPA in every once in a while just to have it.
No shit, eh? In my mind, and maybe because I haven't sort of been around and maybe enough, but I definitely knew that the sours were the main thing. But I kind of thought that it was like equal. Like people were excited about the haze as much as the smoothies and the stouts, but I guess not. Or is it?
Yeah, you do definitely get that
I think
crowd.
That all comes down to the area.
The area, okay.
Sure.
I mean, we have Other Half and everything. I mean, even a couple of years ago, before Other Half moved to the Finger Lakes, where the region where they are now. I mean, I remember standing in line in the freezing cold at a local tap, or a local. It was called Tap and Mallet. It was just like a local.
Yes. They closed down.
They used to do unfortunately, but they used to do they did the first Other Half releases there, and I was standing, I think it was mid-February, like freezing cold outside, early in the morning, just to get 2 types of beer that they had. But I mean, we are extremely lucky in our region. We are kind of spoiled at this point, but it's so crazy still to think that Other Half is just right down the road from us.
So do you think is that part of the reason you think that people are maybe overlooking the quality of the IPAs that you guys are doing because of that? I mean, the Other Half it wasn't that long ago. It was like just before the pandemic. It wasn't like they opened there like 5 years ago and stuff. Like, it was like,
No, they moved in there.
I want to see 2019. No.
It's been a little over 2 years, I think, maybe pushing 3, because we've been open almost 4 years now, and they were in pretty close to after we were in there.
Okay, so maybe because I went to Tap and Mallet. Will Cleveland? He's the writer. Used to be the so he's a mate. So he used to always come up to Bellwoods in Toronto and go to the festival. So I used to always trade with him whenever he was in town.
Yep.
And one time we went to town. We went to Buffalo, went through Rochester. And we went to Tap. He said, "Yeah, meet me at Tap and Mallet." Like, sweet. So we did our little trade there and sat at the bar and drank a bunch of beers. So I really got to soak that place up. So I'm actually very glad we did that. But he always gave me, what did he always give me? Usually other half, fifth frame. Maybe he gave me some Mortalis. I can't remember. But it was like, I don't know. I just feel like that I never heard that you guys weren't. I just feel like Rochester, which I don't even think we really positioned. Like, you guys are in just outside of Rochester, is that correct? It's called Avon?
Yep,
just
about a half hour
Yeah, just south.
Just south of Rochester. Okay, so after, it's Rochester's 45 minutes from Buffalo, like east of Buffalo. So for any Canadians, you're in Toronto, you can zip around to Niagara, hit the border there, and you're basically in Buffalo, and then quick zip. So we did the zip around. We drove back to Montreal through Vermont. Yeah, this was a few years ago. It must have been 2019, I guess. Everything was right before this. So at least we got to check it out. And, we got to Rochester, and I thought we could make it. And when it was snowing, must have been December or something. And we were like, all right, fuck it, we'll stay over. But I don't think I knew about you guys then, because we just went to that bar with Will and got beers. And then we went to one Big Ditch or something in Buffalo.
Big Ditch in Buffalo.
Big Ditch, yeah.
That was it. So I think we, at the time, definitely other half wasn't there. So maybe this was 2018. So maybe you guys weren't around.
Yeah, they were probably still doing the mobile can drops because that's what they were doing from Brooklyn. They were bringing them up to Tap and Mallet.
I remember that.
And pretty much the box truck.
Okay, so maybe you guys weren't around. If this
and
was the end of 2018.
That was the first time I met. And right when we opened. We were still doing crawlers, and I still had my my desk job. So I was going from my desk job to the brewery every day, and I knew that they were doing a mobile can drop at Tap and Mallet, other half. So I brought 3 crawlers with me to work, went on my lunch break, and that's when I met Sam Richardson from other half, and I made sure to give him the cans. I was like, hey, we're going to be neighbors, because I heard that they were going to be down at FLX, and that's, we're pretty close with those guys, and it's been really, really cool to have them right down the road from us.
It sounds like there's a whole, I always felt like there was some pretty cool shit. This was I got into whenever, I guess it was 2018, 2019 when I was meeting with Will to trade. But it sounds like the whole region has really just come up with all of those breweries in the area, and it's a great, obviously any concentration of breweries is good for business, because that's what people want. They want to, they might not go out of their way for one brewery, but if there's 2, 3, 4 in one area and they can make a day of it, then,
oh yeah,
people are excited. It seems to be
that's ideal.
Oh, absolutely. Western New York is not always a place that was probably associated with incredible craft beer historically. What happened? Why was there some sort of a renaissance in that? I mean, I guess it's happened everywhere, you can probably argue, but I feel like it's a pretty special area. From, the name, I didn't know about Equilibrium opening another place out there. So it sounds like
they're down in the Hudson Valley, but
okay, so it's a little further away. So
they're close.
Not that far, but it seems like what's going on out there? Why do you think?
No.
What's happening?
Just an influx of breweries opening. I mean, it just kind of started probably 5-6 years ago, where all of a sudden breweries started to slowly pop up. I mean, there was the resurgence of the Genesee Brewery opened up the Genesee Brew House, where you can now go have dinner, have lunch, and they all have a pilot system in the back. I think that was a big thing to kind of boost things, but we just had brewery after brewery opening, and I don't even really know why Rochester became that popular, but all of a sudden everybody
There's
just
a lot
started
of beer nerds here. I think that's it.
There's a ton, and if you go brewery hopping, odds are you're gonna run into one of them at least. So that's how you get to know people and make connections within the community. So I don't know, it just kind of caught fire, and I don't know if there was a rhyme or reason, but it did, and it's been incredible.
Interesting. It was always I mean, I'm here in Montreal. I used to live in Toronto, and I remember back in the day, my old co-hosts and we did a trip, and we went down to, this was 2011, 2012 or something, and went through, and there wasn't really much. We went, there was one called, is it called Pearl Street or something in Buffalo?
Pearl Street Bar and Grill, yeah.
Really old school, nothing that people today would cream over, but that classic place. And we drove to Southern Tier type of thing. Because there wasn't really much else in between. It was hella far, and we got there and it was closed, and we didn't know. We were like, fuck, and we were just so mad because it was like a 6-hour drive for nothing. But idiots. But I feel like that was what I always pictured. It was always like, oh yeah, Buffalo's like, I think that's fine, I guess, but it didn't have anything like crazy. And I feel like it just like kept happening. I feel like things were popping up, and connecting with someone like Will, and then with Jared. I don't know if we traded back then, actually, bro, but hearing about everything.
We did.
We did?
Yeah. I brought some stuff up to you to Montreal. We met at we traded at
the L'Espace
at the L'Espace Public event. Yeah,
okay.
that's where because now that I think about it, other half was absolutely doing mobile can releases out of there. They hadn't opened up, but like Josh said, they were bringing the box truck up because I think I gave you some other half, I believe.
Sounds probably about right then.
I think I gave you, if I'm not mistaken, I think I gave you one of their, like the Mexican stout, the short, dark, and handsome one. I think I
remember that. Yes, okay. All right, so that makes sense. But I feel like it was almost like it happened in like this kind of short burst of time. Like it wasn't like it was like 8 years when shit got popping. I felt like it was like kind of like, boom, like just got really sick really quickly in that whole region. Yeah. So it's, if I guess it sounds like there's a factor of just a whole bunch of beer nerds, but also a whole bunch of beer nerds who homebrew really well and put their money up to start breweries probably in that region too. I imagine it's significantly more affordable to open something out there than, obviously in Brooklyn where like you're saying, our half is coming up in equilibrium and so on and so forth. But
sure, oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It just felt like every month there was a new brewery open for like a span of like 2 to 3 years. And it's still incredible, the fact there hasn't been a ton as of recently, but if you think about it, I can think of 2 breweries that have closed within that time. Oh, they are. There's one opening up in Honeyway Falls in the next couple weeks, which is incredible. Like I thought, there was one brewery that closed downtown, and about a year later, another brewery had purchased it and had opened up their own spot. So one brewery closed, yet another brewery opened up the exact same spot.
Huh. How do you guys feel about it? Like, do you feel like there's like a I guess it seems like it's going to become. Do you think could become like a whole other hotspot? Like, I guess it already is, but it's like it almost seems like, for a beer nerd now, I feel like you have to kind of go past it. It seems like there's too many incredible, like literal world class. I'm gagging for you to trade me this shit, please, type of breweries in one space, which I feel like isn't incredibly common.
Yeah, I feel like Rochester is a low-key, incredible beer destination. It's one of those places, like, if you think about that, you obviously think of, like, Portland, Maine, Portland, Oregon, Burlington, Vermont, even, like, Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia, Richmond.
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah. You think of those places, but Rochester's smaller, but the amount of breweries that have just popped up and kept on going since, it's pretty impressive, and it's definitely cool to be a part of.
Yeah, man. It's all 585, eh? All day. Let's go.
Represent.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. One of my favorite rappers is from then. He had this song called 585, so that's the only reason I know.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So, like, okay, interesting. It's just fascinating, man. Like, it's really cool to sort of hear, and that this is sort of how it went. So, with the popularity of what were the stuff that really? I imagine it's just the stouts and the smoothies. Like, how did you guys obviously started? Did you start and there was hype, or did you just release some great shit? People were excited because there was a new brewery. Then they're like, oh my god, the sours and the smoothies are incredible, the stouts are incredible, and start spreading the word and trading and stuff. Like, what did that look like?
It had to do well, Josh would know better, but it had to do better with their home brewing marketing or pre-marketing.
That's what I was hoping to hear. Okay.
Yeah. We were giving out bottles to everyone we knew on the local pages. Paul would leave out like a cooler with bottles and just post like, come grab some, just want some feedback. So we had a little bit of a following just from people that tried the home brews. And then shortly after opening, we went to Extreme Beer Fest in Boston. Got invited there, brought some beers, and for some reason, a line formed, a little line, and then that line turned into a big line. Then there's people waiting in line, and you get up to the booth, they're like, I have no idea who you are or what the beer is, but there's a line, so I waited in it, and that sparked it for us. So we got really lucky. I don't know. There's just like a line formed magically, and
is that the episode name? There's a line, so I waited.
Every other person, they're just, yeah, there's a line, so they must be good. What do you have? I'm like, okay.
Yo, I'm writing down the name of that episode because that's
crazy.
There's a line, so I waited in it. That's the funniest shit I've ever heard. Doesn't that just tell you about human nature? They don't even know what's up, and they're like, I don't know, there was a line. Who are you? What do you do?
Yep. Where are you from?
Yeah, what's going on? Dude, that is fucking good.
But that's how you learn, and that's how you
could
spread.
Have been serving,
yeah, you could be serving anything. You could be serving Miller High Life or some shit.
4 different Rauch beers.
Yeah.
Oh.
You like smoke?
You like bacon and campfire in a glass? Let's go. That's crazy. Okay, so it was like...
Yeah, so that really, I think, helped leapfrog us a little bit, and then some people... there was a lot of people at that. That's when EBF was still... I think the last year when they were still really big, they had 3 sessions, 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. So it was a lot of exposure for us. And just a lot of people found out about us just through...
So it was a mix of...
And we were able to meet a lot of cool breweries there.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it.
We're really big about
connecting.
If I'm at a festival, just walk around, talk to different breweries and
smart
things like that.
Yeah, just being cool.
Yep.
I mean, like, I guess
That's
it's like just like talking to people and making those connections with a genuine interest in what they're doing, which obviously you guys would have had. Your home brewers, you're passionate, and you're like, oh yeah, and you love beer. You do 12-hour round trips to Massachusetts, goddamn. I mean, going through 2 states.
Yep.
No, 3. You go through New Hampshire, no? I think. Or not. Either way, it's a lot of states.
No, it depends. It really depends on how you go there. But I would tell some of the brewers that I was a huge beer nerd. Like, I was into the trading game before all this, and like I still tell some of these breweries that we work with, like, if you knew what I went through to get some of your beer, you'd be mind blown.
Do you have any? Do either of you guys have any trade stories?
Josh would more than I.
I always find it so funny.
I used to take. I do a lot. I used to do road trips. My girlfriend and I, we did 3 days. We did New York to St. Louis to Iowa, Chicago, and home in 3 days just for beer.
That's pretty intense.
And that was
that the side project one.
And that was all because I wanted.
St. Louis.
I did. Well, I got the. That was 2018 Assassin release. I did the lottery for it, and I won. Yeah, and so we had to go to Iowa, and then they're like, well, since we're going to Iowa, let's go to St. Louis. Like, I looked at a map, I'm like, that's not even remotely close, but we did it. So just when we got back, there was so much beer in the car. It was unbelievable how much we collected through that.
That's crazy.
But I was constantly going to Hill Farmstead in Vermont. It seemed like monthly I was doing that trip, monthly to like Treehouse, Trillium, just constantly. So I was trading, but I was more just driving to these breweries just to try the beer.
Did that help in your either approach to the business or your approach to the beer itself?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, and a lot of the stouts that I was trading for, obviously, I was a huge fan of Angry Chair. I thought everything that they were doing, I was like, this is what I want to brew. It used to be really, like, that's all I used to drink was pastry stouts. Learned pretty quickly that you can't do that every day, or it's detrimental to your health. But They are delicious.
They are.
Yeah, so they're just to trade and try. Okay, these beers are rating well. People are trading for them. People really are seeking these out. What makes them special? I want to try them, and then you get to try them, and okay, this is what we're going for.
So essentially, inspired what you like to drink, inspired what you want to make.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
exactly.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. I always find that, like, we talk to a lot of breweries here, but the best breweries, in my opinion, are the ones who do exactly that. They make the styles that the brewers / owners love to drink. People, I find that the brewers are like, everyone's drinking New England, fine, I'll make a New England. And it's not really, I guess there's no love in it, there's no passion in it. So they're like, I don't know, this is the recipe, do it, and it's never that good. But, the people that, that's kind of what I want to get to with this as well. I imagine that you guys are passionate about smoothies and pastries and haze and all the different stuff that you guys are making. So I think that's really important. Yeah, that's sick. That old school trading world, I never really got heavily into it. I used to, well, I say used to because of everything that's happened. We were traveling a lot back in the day, so I always used to get to try different stuff. But I was never trading really. Very occasionally, like if something happened, Jared's coming to Montreal, like sick man, I'll get you a bunch. You give me some stuff, beautiful. Or Will, he's going to a festival in Hamilton, so the collective arts ones, so we'd meet up and cool. Just do 8 quick beers, boom, 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 like. Small things like that, just friends. I was never like the guys on the trading forums because I heard some horror stories about those type of individuals. They get a bit serious.
Can't confirm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did it once. Yeah, we did a big trip. We went down we hit up Treehouse, we hit up Trillium, then we went up to Portland, Maine for a couple of days, and we scooted over to Burlington, Vermont, and did that. Ran the gamut there. Came back, kind of like Josh's trip, had a ridiculous amount of beer. So I was like, I can't drink this all. Did some trading, and after that, I was like, never again. I can't unless it's a personal friend or someone that I trust. Never again. I'm not gonna do that.
It's just never. I heard there's like they're like, well, this was actually worth like 33%.
Oh my god! They're like, well, this is a 2-for-1. I'm like, oh my god.
But dude,
okay.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't really care. Some people do money, so that we spend the same. I've seen that before. With its friends, we didn't even talk about it. Like, I don't know, do you want to do 10? Let's do 10. Let's do 12, whatever. Let's just say that no one even talks about it because it's home.
I'm more of like a can for can, bottle for bottle type of guy. I'm not like that. So some people were, and it just got to be a headache. I'm more about the process and obviously making the beer as opposed to what a bottle goes on the secondary market. I couldn't care less about that.
Yeah, it starts to get a little crazy. I was just, as you were saying, I was just looking at the lacing in this glass. This is incredible. This is great. Looks nice. It's beautiful, man. This is such a great beer. So I don't know if I commented enough on it. This is fantastic. I'm really appreciating the inspiration behind it, and it made a lot of sense. It's really good. It's super easy. It's beautiful. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Cheers.
The trade stuff. Do you guys think then, because you guys, whether you like it or not, I guess, because you happen to be making styles that you like, and those styles that you like are the styles that all the trade monsters like, do you think that trade, like, well, no, not do you think, because obviously it does, but what impact has that, trading of your products and then therefore your brand, what impact has that had on the brewery, do you think? As far as, whether it's people local going and trading, whether it's like Jared, you were saying international or across the country or whatever that means,
I think it does impact what people are buying, but I don't think we've ever let that really sway us in whatever style we're going to brew. If we've always said we are brewing what we want to drink, I don't care if this style is trading for more sought after. This is, right now I drink a lot of hazy IPA and lagers. We're brewing a lot of those. We still like stouts, so we still brew those. Dave and Paul are really the I think the masterminds behind the fruited sour type stuff, the smoothie stuff. So we have this team that we still want to just brew what we're drinking, and if people want to trade that and seek it out, that's a bonus.
Right. Does it draw in tourism? Do you think?
Yeah, I think some of the Hydra stuff, like especially in the beginning, there was a lot of people that come in just because in our area no one else was doing that. So you get these people that come in, they're like, I heard you guys are making these crazy smoothie sours, and they just had to come in to try them.
Right.
I mean, even when
And
we've been
you
out
always
of
get the people
town,
that are
you
like,
know,
"This is
working
not
at
beer."
festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had people approach me at festivals and been like, I live in sometimes like in like different states, and the thing I requested for my birthday is to just come up and visit your brewery because we, traded for something and we loved it and wanted to come visit, and that's the kind of stuff that's really, really great to hear.
That's sick, man. I love that. Yeah, I imagine that's probably what it would do. It would make people sort of have that like goal to come through and actually check it out in person, because that is like half. It's like that journey. It's like that pilgrimage that going to some of your favorite breweries is one of the biggest things I miss personally. To be honest, about all this shit that happened in the last couple of years, haven't been able to go anywhere for the most part, particularly here. So like, yeah, I feel like that's particularly if you're able. At the same token, like getting them remotely is, I guess, the next best thing to be able to. But there's something special about going to the place that you really respect and seeing it for yourself and talking to the people and having that experience there and watching Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no substitute for that.
That's what I miss the most, because our tap room's just not what it used to be. We still, for the shift, we kept a chunk of the bar. We put it on casters. We roll it out. We kept some of the same tables. We tried to make it similar to what people knew and loved us for. But there's still, the experience is still not what it used to be. So we're super excited to get this tap room full build out, brand new, and make that experience special again for people. It still is, it still is special. I think, you could have the best idea in the world, but if you don't have the people to execute it, it doesn't mean anything. So the team still does a great job, but I, just want that beautiful tap room setting again.
Yeah, is that at the same location? It's not like a secondary tap room. It's the same.
No. This will be a completely different location.
Oh, a new one. Okay, sick. Yeah. In the area or
Yeah. It'll be
in downtown Rochester.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's sick. Okay. I mean, that's super cool, man. I mean, I guess that's sometimes what you got to do to just switch it up and revamp it. Yeah. And I guess it's a new place that doesn't have the stigma of being affected by the last couple of years. It's this new thing.
Yeah. And it's, we couldn't up the production without doing what we did. So I don't regret it. I just want people to really have a true Mortalis experience again.
So are you saying that there's like the production has sort of bumped into the tap room and taken up some of that space? That's what happened?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No shit, eh? So
it took up a huge majority of the tap room. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that makes so much more sense.
So if you think, you just think of like a 3,000 square foot box, and a portion of it was the brewery, and the other portion was the tap room. We've slowly just keep creeping into the tap room area now to where I don't know, comfortably, Jared, what do you think? 50, 60 people could sit down?
Yeah, about that.
What was it?
Outdoors.
And that's with outdoor.
That's with outdoor. Okay. What was it prior to the expansion?
I think it was like 160 or something like that.
With outdoor
capacity.
We could do with people outside. You could definitely cram some people in there, especially on our big releases. There was a lot of people.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we didn't get to that before. That makes a lot of sense. And so having a completely separate space, would that separate space be a tap room only, or would you have like a mini brew pub situation in there where you can maybe?
Yes.
Yep.
Tap room only.
Oh, tap room only.
So
okay, cool.
in New York State, they offer. Yep. So in New York State, you can be a New York State farm brewer, which allows you to have 5 satellite offices that you don't actually have to do production on. Okay. So you could have 5 tap rooms, and you just have to use a certain portion of New York State grown ingredients in the beer per year.
All right. Man.
So if we just use, New York State malt, we have a nice maltster right down the street from us. There are some pretty good hops that are grown in New York State that you can use. So that fills the requirement, and then you can have multiple offices with no production.
No shit. Alcohol laws are fascinating. Eh?
They're bizarre.
They're wild.
Bizarre is right. Jesus, that's cool.
And the amount of variation by state is unreal.
Oh yeah, man. Even up here.
Oh yeah, all these festivals sending beer, and like some of the states, the hoops they make you jump through just to send a few kegs in for a festival is outrageous.
Tell me if this is worse than here. If you want to go from, say you want to either side, Quebec and Ontario, if you want to bring in kegs, they have to go into the warehouse of the provincial alcohol body for 12 weeks. So it's 3 months. They have to sit.
Whoa! No.
Wow.
So as you can imagine, people don't really go through those methods, and they just get them in their car and they just fucking drive them to get.
Yep.
It's the only way you have to go around.
That's insane. The worst, here, like state to state, some states you can ship in direct, but some have to go through a distributor and have to touch distributors, but like holding time. They have to be shipped to a distributor, and it has to be, that
pass through it. So that means there's a middleman that gets paid.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way,
and then like for us in New York, we can do self distro. Yeah. Okay. So I could just throw a keg in my trunk from the brewery and bring it to a restaurant and sell it to them direct.
Okay, that's here too. I think it's more just when you cross lines, when you cross provincial lines. So maybe it's the same there.
Sure, but there's some states that you can't do that for sure.
You can't just drive it to a restaurant. They have to go to a distributor.
No, there's
to go
some
to a
states
restaurant.
you have to go through a distributor.
Oh wow!
Yep.
Okay, yeah. See, that's. I guess we can thank Prohibition for all of these rules. It's just so bonkers, eh? When you really think about it, like none of this makes any sense.
And even sales out of certain tap rooms. I know, like there are certain states where they can only sell you a certain amount of beer per day.
That's crazy. So, like, you couldn't go and either like pause or like.
Yeah, Georgia's really bad.
I heard
Georgia was
one
crazy.
that
Cans.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard they only were allowed to have tap rooms recently.
They just.
Like in the last couple of years, right?
They just tried to. And they just tried to overturn that limit on how much to-go beer you can buy, and it didn't get overturned.
What can you get?
It's like less than a case, I think.
They put it to a vote, and it lost. Yeah, I think it's like 4 4-packs or something per person.
Goodness.
And they send in secret shoppers, I believe, to like try to
test.
It's insane.
Bro.
Oh.
Prohibition like really ruined a lot of stuff. Isn't it really funny? When was Prohibition? 100 years ago. It's in the 20s, 1920s.
Yeah.
And it's still lingering.
It makes no
in some areas.
No, I think it's basically everywhere. It's touching every alcohol law everywhere because it's happening here too. Like, and there's so many small little ridiculous things that you can't do. I remember being in Australia, and there was one because I've lived here for almost 12 years, so it's been a while. And I went back, and we were at a bar, not a brewery, a bar. And the bar, the outdoor patio, it wasn't a direct door to it. You had to go out the front door, walk down, and then down the street. It was still next to it, but there wasn't a direct door to it. And you had to take, so you could go and get your pints. You go, okay, cool, and you walk out the front door, and you walk down, like literally where there's no tables, down the street, turn the corner, and then walk up to the tables, and then you're allowed to drink it there. And I was like, I remember doing that. I'm like, in Canada, whether it's Quebec or Ontario, there is no way you would be allowed to carry open alcohol on the street to walk around to a patio that's a licensed part of the venue.
No.
So it reminded me of how different, I guess, all of the laws are. Then you guys are just talking about, I forgot about the Georgia thing, which is bonkers. And then even the stuff here, like if you're doing festivals, people don't even, like if you want to bring something in from another province and it's something that has a shelf life, you have to go under the radar, otherwise it's not going to
for sure.
So it's
Well,
even just buying alcohol
county
from like
county here.
Oh yeah? There's rules out there?
There are still dry counties in New York.
What's a dry county mean?
Basically, they can't have they can't sell alcohol in that county.
What do you mean, like at a bar or at a?
Like anywhere.
They wouldn't even have a bar.
Yeah, they wouldn't even have a bar. So you have to go to the next county order in order to purchase alcohol.
Are you serious?
Yeah, my wife's grandparents live in one of those counties.
So you visit them and you got to be like, cool, I'm going to go for a 20-minute drive just so I can buy a 4-pack.
Yeah, we don't visit them much.
I can imagine. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's like they have to drive next. I mean, they could bring it over, but once you can't purchase it within.
That's insane. That honestly, I've never heard that before.
Even in Buffalo, close to where you were you said you visited Big Ditch.
I did, yes.
There's a town in Buffalo, East Aurora, that has full open container in the whole town. So you can get a plastic cup at a bar and just walk down the street with it.
So it's like New Orleans or
legal.
Vegas. Wow. See, that shit is crazy.
And it's just one county.
So like every county is completely different. So it's like literally dry, or literally you can pour it into a cup and walk out of the place.
And everything in between.
Right. See, like, I mean, when you look at it like that, that just really shows you how much law is.
Well, I know even in the New England area, even in terms of purchasing beer or like alcohol, period. So we have family down in Rhode Island, and in Rochester, you can go to any sort of grocery store or convenience store or gas station and purchase usually beer or any sort of or most alcohol. But all the alcohol in like the New England region is like in what they call package stores. So like you can't walk into like your local grocery store and buy like, your groceries and then like a case of beer. You got to go elsewhere for that.
Interesting. That was what it was like in Ontario for the longest time too. They just added grocery stores recently. Okay.
Did they? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like the ABC liquor stores
in Hawaii. The ABC, was that in Hawaii? They have the what do you guys call them? The drugstores.
Yeah, drugstores too.
That was the first time I'd ever seen that shit. Because in Australia they call it a chemist, and a place that sells drugs sells drugs. That's it. But then you go into North America, and then you've got cigarettes and alcohol. I'm like, what the? And then food. I'm like, what is this? It was the craziest thing to see.
You sell everything there.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our pharmacies. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically it's just a little bit lesser grocery store, essentially.
Basically, the ones here don't have alcohol. I think they have everything else. I'm not sure if they have cigarettes, but they don't have alcohol. For sure, that's the one. One difference.
Ours do.
Much more convenient, if I'm honest. As long as they're selling fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of fire.
Most of the time now.
Yeah, most of the time. Okay, good. Shall we move to the next one? I know we were kind of yapping. The other IPA? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
The other IPA, yeah, sure.
Yeah. What's the name of that one again?
Hephaestus.
Okay. Wanna just explain what's in it?
Or is every
There we go. Yeah. Do you want to just explain what's in it? I'll be back in
It's
Citra
Galaxy.
Citra Galaxy? Yeah. Talk a story.
Yeah, so this is very similar, pretty similar grain bill to Zeus. Pretty close color. And Citra Galaxy.
There's also Cashmere in the Whirlpool. And Cashmere, I believe, is in the Whirlpool.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Oh, yeah, there is some Cashmere, yep. Still smells really nice.
One of our more difficult to pronounce beers. There's a few of them. It's the Greek.
Hepatitis,
the Greek
as everyone calls it.
Hepatitis, yeah. Part of our STD series. As long as you like it, it doesn't matter if you can pronounce it.
That's all that matters. So Citra Galaxy.
Signature Galaxy Cashmere.
And cashmere. I forgot that there's
Cashmere. And
cashmere
who
in here.
is? I don't know if you said. I heard most of what you're saying. Who is that name before? Everyone knows Zeus. This gentleman sounds like a.
He is. I don't know if it. I forget the exact. I know he's some kind of blacksmith, but I don't know because every god has like multiple
like things.
Yeah, it's like multiple.
roles,
So it's like
depending on like what history you read.
Oh right.
it's like blacksmith, metalworking, and I believe like carpentry, something along the lines of that. So you'll see, like, obviously on the label,
Yeah.
he's obviously like, forging a sword on it. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Ah, okay. Love it. So this is 8% now. Is this one also
I've learned so much about
Greek mythology?
Greek mythology. Oh, it's a few Jeopardy questions I've gotten right because of it.
Man, have you applied? You should get on there.
Not smart enough for that.
Oh, hey man, hey, you never know. I feel like sometimes you watch those shows, you're like, man, I could do this shit. This is pretty doable. This particular beer. Now, would you? I'm looking at. Sorry, my girlfriend's just taking photos for the promo here. The beer itself, is this also inspired by a treehouse kind of beer, or is this something a little different? Thank you.
No,
This is a little bit
just
more new school.
New school.
Say the grain bill. Yeah, the grain bill's slightly different than Zeus, and the hop saturation is probably a little bit more in this one. I think there was maybe a little less bittering hop because Zeus still uses pretty much all of our hazies still have a small bittering addition.
Okay.
So we still like them to have a little bit of bite instead of going like for that like 0 IBU kind of
Fruit salad.
train that a lot of breweries are doing.
Yeah. Get that.
But this
Meringue
one
head
also
again.
very similar color to Zeus. This is the
Yes.
color we like.
So
Maybe
it's like,
a little bit lighter in color.
yeah, maybe a touch. I feel like it's like just shy of like murky. Like it's super hazy, but it's like you can there's like just a little bit of like you can kind of see through it, so it's not this like mud type of situation. But the head is just insane.
Right.
It's kind of got the
And that's likely
Similar-ish?
because we are centrifuging all these IPAs as well, so they do look quite murky, and then they're a little bit more refined when they come out of the centrifuge.
Gotcha. Okay. I feel like it's. I know we had these sort of back to back, but I feel like, oh wow, the phone is auto correcting to spell the name right. Look at that. Love it. Love to see it. I feel like it's definitely. Am I getting the dankness? I feel like it's to a lesser degree because I know Simcoe is super dank kind of hot.
Yeah, I think that's probably the cashmere that you're getting a little bit of that.
Cashmere?
That dank
Oh, it's
vibe from.
very different. Oh my god, yeah. Sorry, even just smelling the cans. It's less dank and a
Yep.
little bright, like a fair bit brighter.
It's probably the Galaxy is really probably
The shining.
the huge difference on the nose.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
The good Galaxy.
the good galaxy. Is there a
Yeah.
bad galaxy?
Oh, yeah.
In the past year or so, yeah.
It's bad Galaxy.
Yo, I heard that. I heard there'd be some shit galaxy.
Depending on the region
Yes.
it's grown in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my people. I
Yeah.
apologize.
That was part of our growing pains too, is we spent a little bit not knowing that, but once we figured it out, the difference was astronomical. It was insane.
So, what was that? The batches of hops from the grower, or was it the processing of the hops and the way you used it in the beer?
It was, from what we've gathered, the Victorian Galaxy is better than Tasmania.
We're from Victoria, so you know the vibes. Okay. That Tasmania would
Yeah,
be
that's-
colder if you actually think of where
What
Tasmania.
the reasoning is?
Yeah. But what did they say? They didn't say.
Yeah, I thought that from what I've heard, there was some fires potentially that messed up some of the soil, but I have no
In
idea.
Victoria, there
You know,
was.
it's just
There might have been in
very
Tassie.
fine.
Well, where
Oh,
I grew up in, there's always a lot of fires. We didn't go back in 2020 before all of this specifically because of the crazy fires going on in
Oh wow.
in Victoria, New South Wales. But
Gotcha.
we always had fires out there because it gets really dry.
It makes sense. I guess I could change the soil.
Yeah, I guess it probably
Yeah.
could. And the areas where they would grow hops, obviously, are regional, rural areas. There's a lot of Australia. It's very interesting. Have you guys been?
No, unfortunately not. Not yet.
So Australia, even compared to New Zealand, Australia is super brown in comparison. As far as like, there's a lot more like maybe less rain, but there was always like water shortages. We grew up having they sometimes the government sent these like timers that you're supposed to put in the shower. So you put the shower and you turn upside down, and it was like a 3-minute timer to have a shower. We weren't allowed to wash our cars with a hose. You had to use a bucket and water, and you had to wash the car off with water bucket, not in a hose, because you weren't allowed to waste water.
Oh wow.
They were really like pedantic
Wow.
about it. So moving to
Oh,
Canada
wow.
was appealing because there's the Arctic, so that if shit hits the fan, there is a complete ice cap. That, we're good.
Yeah.
But so I wonder if that could have part of it. So I think because of that dryness, that arid dryness, like the whole middle of Australia is a desert. So I could imagine that the fires would be more attracted to those areas, and of course, yes, it would definitely change the soil. Maybe change it for the better if you're saying Victorian, because I don't know much about Tassie. I've never actually been there. It's like an island just off Australia. That's a state. I guess it broke off thousands of years ago. But it's the only thing in between Australia and Antarctica, if you think about it like that. It's pretty crazy. So like there's probably different weather conditions as well. It gets doesn't like get as strangely, it doesn't get as cold as up here. But it's I could imagine these weather conditions might affect it.
Yeah, that's probably it. I don't, like we said, we don't, not really sure why, but there was just a period of time, because I mean, Galaxy blew up, and that was like the best top, and people loved it, and then and then all of a sudden there was just a period of time where certain crops of it
Batches that were
just
destroying beer.
Yeah. Kind of crazy. Well, I feel like in this one, the Galaxy isn't like overwhelming or anything. I'm still getting some citrusy vibes. Is there any
and
other?
that's on purpose.
That's on purpose. Okay, so you like pulled it back, restrained it a bit.
Yeah, because we're just always nervous with Galaxy now, so we won't ever really get over that 30% of the dry hop of Galaxy, just in case.
Smart. What are some of the other profiles I'm getting here? I feel like it's like a touch dank and citrusy, but not to the same extent as Zeus.
Yeah, and I get a little bit on the nose. I get a little bit more of almost approaching that kind of I always say like that bubblegum kind of like nose on it, like the candied hop, almost like a sweet. It smells sweet, but it isn't sweet. It actually is, I think, semi-dry for a hazy.
Yes, it's not too crazy. There's a touch.
You might also get like a
maybe
lemon lime.
a touch of sweetness. Yeah.
Yeah, a touch of sweetness. Lemon lime. Yeah. So it's kind of like all citrus. It's not just like orange. It's sort of like
Yeah.
It's good, great hot burps, which I love.
The best.
Are they the best?
And,
so
and it's still smooth without I don't get any kind of like harshness or any kind of lingering kind of burn.
No.
You get that nice hop saturation flavor, and then it just kind of dissipates.
Yeah, no, you're right. I like it. What did you just call it? Hop saturation. I like Yeah, man, this is solid. I'm starting to see, obviously, now doing two of your IPAs back to back. I'm seeing you can tell sort of what you guys are going for. Would you say that these two IPAs are
Yep.
reflective of what you guys do?
I would say so, since
Yeah, I
they're
think
a
with
couple of the more
new-
recent ones.
Yeah.
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 Do you do any? So, like, I know we talked about it before.
I
And
think
don't
these
wanna-
were packaged.
I don't see any. Do you put any date code? You actually don't do date codes typically.
Yeah, our
date coder
coder
sucks.
is currently broken, so there's no dates on these.
Gotcha. No worries. It's okay.
It just shoots like blotches of ink on the bottom of the can right now. So
Yeah, you can't
it's
read
just
it.
off.
So it's kind of pointless. They both taste super fresh.
You might be able to read one. Yeah, and I think Zeus. Did these come out in the same week, Jared? I think they're maybe 2 and 3 weeks old, something like that.
You know what?
Yes, I think
Close to that.
I think they were packaged in mid to late May, I believe. So I believe that's around the same
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
so-
3
Yeah,
weeks.
they're probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
So this one
probably
was,
look at
was
our,
released May 20th,
Okay.
along with
Okay.
Morning Truffle and Frosé Hydra, which I think I had recently. And that is a Hydra. So yeah, it would probably be.
And I think Zeus was the week before that.
Yeah, maybe you didn't post about it though.
We should have.
Unless I
Well,
could
either
be
way.
completely. Oh, maybe it's like a bunch. Oh, here we go. No, my bad.
It's probably bunched in with a few things.
Bunched in with other ones, probably. Yeah, I'm sure I could find it. Dig it. Oh, here we go. There's a bunch of them in here. Either way, though, they both taste like super fresh. But there's like a cool similarity, which is, I guess I had no expectations about what your IPAs would be like. So it's like, are there? I know this was more. Both of these ones are more along what people could consider like the treehouse style, which we've talked about here a bunch as well. Like that kind of more dank, citrus forward IPAs. Do you do any other, like, is there much differentiation as far as, I mean, it's not bad or good either way. I feel like it's sort of like, if this is the vibe that you're going for, this is money. I love this shit. I feel like this is less common actually than maybe some other kind of styles of IPA, and I really appreciate this. I feel like I haven't had something with this sort of profile for a while, and as someone who drinks a relatively decent amount of these things, at least locally, previously more breadth to my drinking, but due to circumstances, it's more locally. But this does not taste like anything I've had recently, in an amazing way.
Yeah, like Josh said, we've been really trying to dial in those IPAs and make them better. We're trying to increase the freshness, make them more shelf stable. For a while, they'd be great for like the first couple weeks, but then they'd really fall off. But I feel like the stability of them have improved tremendously. So, we're getting there slowly but surely. But like most things, it's going to take some time. But we're definitely trying to dial in that profile and kind of make it our own along the way.
I like that. Do people comment on that? Do people talk about that? This doesn't taste like every other hazy IPA.
Yeah, I think we see that they're.
Yeah.
But it's double-edged sword, because sometimes people just want it to taste like
everything else.
every other. The tried
Can't
and
please
true
everyone.
that tastes amazing, and right. But if we can keep a unique flavor profile, I think that's a win.
Couldn't agree more, man. I think in this day and age, I know it's an interesting thing about, do you make beer to fit in, or do you make it to stand out? And like drinkers can be filtered.
Right.
IPAs are tough. IPAs, doubles, even one of the breweries that we're close friends with, Fiden's out in Albany. A lot of people equate them to like early Treehouse. So it's one of those things where you're just kind of going, okay, according to some people, they're the same as what was previously done, but they're also trying to create their own identity.
Mm.
So it's tough to follow that, create your own thing, because people have
They're,
that.
they're, they're making killer beer.
Yeah, they're making probably some of the best hazies in the game, for sure.
Okay, interesting. I feel like
We'll have to.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll have to get you some of that.
Yeah, man, we can do another trade, my G. I'm always down. This is this is like a pleasure for me. Like, I don't think y'all understand. Like, because in the last 2 years, like, I was always everywhere. Like, Vermont is 45 minutes from here, and I haven't been there in fucking more than 2 years, and it's killing me because Trader Joe's is the greatest place on the planet. And I had to get my friend in San Diego to send me some stuff recently. He sent me all the spices and the green dragon sauce and shit. The pumpkin spice. Yeah, I love it. New York State. This is something like, this is the other thing I miss. We used to go to Afropunk in Brooklyn every year. Until basically up until before the pandemic, we went every year. And it was like such a regular thing. I really enjoyed it. We used to always do a vlog where we go to all the Brooklyn breweries, and then sort of that helped us really sort of discover a lot more of what's happening. And I feel like New York State seems to be a really special place for craft beer right now. Not just the city, but the whole state. Like whether it's Northwest, whether it's like the middle where you're talking about Albany and I imagine like Syracuse and all the other sort of cities are. Hudson Valley and all those type of places. Suarez, I think, is out there as well.
Yes, sir.
What's going on in New York? Yeah,
fantastic. Killing
it, right? So, and then with the Crispies and stuff, I remember being at, what's the sick beer bar in Brooklyn? Starts with T. Fuck. There's this crazy beer bar that's super famous. I've just had a complete blank.
Honestly, I've not been in New York City since I was like 12, so I have no idea.
Okay, there's a place somewhere in Williamsburg.
I don't remember.
I'm having a blank. I'm going to kick myself.
I guarantee you, Josh knows. He's just blanking.
Yeah, I think we're all putting us.
I've probably been there.
No, it's almost guaranteed. Like, I would be completely shocked if you haven't. It's like a. Oh my goodness! Either way, it was the first time I'd had like the 3-step slow pour on tap a few years ago. Oh my god! I can't believe I forgot what it's called. It's just like a really known, super small, unassuming place, but it used to have a Michelin star chef. And they're just a bar, like they just have like a crazy tap list. But that's the first time I had the Suarez family, crispy, poured like that. And I haven't tried Hudson Valley, but I've heard a lot about them. I haven't tried Fightings, but I heard about them. It seems that there's like this like renaissance of like New York beer as a state. What do you guys think might be, like, what's going on? Is it just, like, nature taking its course, or that's just happening? There's a lot of people in New York State, so therefore there's more of a chance of there being more, great home brewers, great passionate beer people, like, what's happening?
I mean, even the population's not that crazy in our area.
No?
Yeah, New York City has a ton of people. There's a lot of great breweries down there. It's hard to explain why
people would be going there.
Why New York just became. It just happened. I really don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah, it's so spread out. I mean, even down in the Hudson Valley region. I mean, you got a few. You got Equilibrium. You have Hudson Valley. You have Suarez. I mean, that's not too far from New York City, so that could account to the popularity. But I mean, it's not only that, like, they're making killer beer out there. So, I mean, we were in Equilibrium for an event for our barrel age release collab that we did with them. And, I mean, they're in Middletown, New York, which is literally in the middle of nowhere. There's not much to that town, but the turnout was unreal. And the amount of people that just traveled to be there. We ran into people from Rochester there that drove 4 hours just to have a couple pours, which is wild.
It's a beautiful thing, eh?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It
It's
really
very
is.
cool. The bar is called
That-
Toast, by the way.
I knew it. I've been there. I've been there
Yeah,
multiple
you've been to
times.
Toast, yeah. So it just seems like, I feel like, we used to drive, until we flew one time to New York, I'm like, oh, this is way easier, but we used to drive. Because I wanted to be able to go to a few breweries and bring a whole bunch of shit back, but I could also just put it in my bag and it's not that serious. Not like,
No.
your St. Louis, Iowa, Chicago trip, but, a decent amount of stuff. Yeah, it just seems like a really creative, dope place. So even somewhere as ridiculous where the real estate is out of control as Brooklyn, is just like, because we always stayed in Williamsburg when we went, it was just seemed to be like a really cool place to be based. There's so much around, whether it's from we always went to Other Half or Beer Wax. We had them on the podcast as well. Amazing beer bar out there. There's just so much happening, and then like the Northwest and stuff where you guys are at. I just this concentration. The fact that Other Half came up there, I feel like that really says a lot about the area too, because I think there was a few little things going on, and maybe when they chose that region to expand to, which sounds like it was under that program that you were talking about, Josh. I don't know if that helped put the area on people's radars. We're like, ooh, okay, well, Rochester, all right, what's happening in Finger Lakes? That region, like, there's something going on here.
Yep.
They're sort of attracting people. It's affordable. It's close to a lot of things. There's two major cities, like in the area close. You're just over the border from the biggest city in Canada. Like, it's a pretty cool region.
Yeah, and with the previous can releases, like we mentioned earlier, where Other Half, came up and did the can releases at Tap and Mallet, I think the turnout there, plus the location that they got out in Bloomfield, is unreal, and they basically stole it from the previous owner. They had such a good price on that, it was almost you couldn't pass it up. It's a unbelievable location that they have out there.
Yeah, they got a great deal.
So it seems like there's I guess it's put a bit of the concentration of breweries, and then just in the state. I don't know, it's anecdotal, but it just seems like there's really a lot happening out there, even through a time that was pretty rough for everybody in the last couple of years, as far as if you want to say businesses specifically. So many restrictions, particularly with the physical in-person stuff. And what you're able to do, and you would have had to probably triple down on all the packaging and the canning and stuff, so that you could get the products out to people and so on and so forth. But it's just kind of cool to sort of see that sort of growth and change. And obviously I don't live there, I've only been there a bunch of times, but you guys are there. It just seems like there's really something cool going on out there that's capturing as far as the East Coast, I feel like it's a big part. Like, we all know that Burlington and Vermont is killing it. We all know that Massachusetts and Portland, Maine are killing it. But I really feel like New York wasn't always the place that was talked about for craft beer. New York as a state or the city, whatever.
No,
both.
I agree.
Then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, these guys, someone like Will coming to Toronto that I meet through the grapevine. He's just coming into Bellwoods. I think I met him at Bellwoods one time, actually. And,
yeah, Will loves Bellwoods.
Oh, he's a huge fan. And
don't we all, though?
Don't we all? Bellwoods is the goats, man.
I love them. So great.
Guys. And they, that link up stuff I sent you? Remember how that's our non-profit? Bellwoods, by the time this comes out, people will know Bellwoods are dropping next week. We got them on link up, which I am fucking stoked about, because it's
no way. What did you guys get to do? What style of beer?
They did a double IPA. I forgot what the hops were, but it's I think 8 to 8.5 double IPA. Because we don't interfere with the actual beer itself or the label or anything, but very, very happy that they did it. It's a great look for us, and we're looking to expand it to the States next. Continuing from there, we've got a few. There's some Vermont breweries who are interested and whatever, but we should actually talk to you guys, see if it's a fit.
For sure.
But yeah, even just talking to Will and then meeting you, Jared, and then you bringing up stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, what is this shit? Like, obviously I've been to Other Half a bunch of times in Brooklyn, but I didn't know what Fifth Frame were until you guys gave that to me, and then that was pre-Mortalis days. Now I think of the dates, but yeah, it just seems to be like super cool because I never would have thought that trading beers with a couple dudes out that way would, you guys were really proud of what you guys had locally. And I thought that was really cool to me. The fact that, you need to try this. And yeah, look, you bring in the other half stuff, but you gave me other stuff too. And
yeah, I think I gave you some 3 heads, I think.
Potentially, yeah, that sounds familiar. There was a bunch of stuff, but you were really proud to give me the local stuff. And I thought, that's pretty sick. And this was...
Yeah.
I
figured, you being in Montreal, might as well bring you something that you potentially haven't had before, so...
Highly likely.
And there's so much up here. I think I don't know if I brought you some Swift water. I might have, but I can't quite remember. But...
I'd have to check. I reviewed everything, and it was
so many good options.
Yeah, there's so many great things. It just seems like a really great place to be based at, to be based from, to be from. Are you guys both from the region, by the way, or are you sort of?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from the west side. He's from the east side of town.
Both grew up around here.
Okay. You got some beef? Or are we good?
No, that's just where we're going.
Okay.
No beef.
No beef.
Just opposite sides of the same city.
Rochester seemed lovely, by the way. Everything was great. The city was super cool. I enjoyed the whole place. But yeah, it's just really interesting when you think about when you see commonalities, particularly maybe you guys are there, so it's like you might not see it as much, but I'm looking from the outside and I'm seeing, I'm seeing a lot of people on Instagram post about you guys. Like I knew about you before, Jared. When you said you worked, I was like, you work at fucking Mortalis? Like what? Like I feel like you didn't tell me that you worked there, and I was just like, hang on, this is pretty crazy because I know how excited so many people I know are about your brand and about what you do. And
I didn't at the time where we met face to face. I did not.
You did not. I guess, obviously we kept in touch over the time, and you never told me. I guess I never asked you, but you never told me. So, I was very oh man, this is like a fantastic, this is the place to be at. And just to seeing how excited people over here are, and I can only imagine what that is, in the US. I know I've got friends in the West Coast who get super excited about all the East Coast stuff and vice versa. So, you guys are really in this wonderful...
Yep.
Conversation of just, breweries that people are passionate about and want to share with others who are into the same thing. So it's a very cool situation to be in as far as what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Love to hear it.
Just brings people together.
That's it, man. That's what beer is for.
You'll have to let us know the next time you're in the Rochester area.
Oh man, I'm not. Don't even worry. It's 100%. Yeah, we're trying to we're trying to buy a house right now, so we're trying to figure that out. Once that's all sorted, then we're going to get back in the travel game. We thought let's just sit our asses tight to just get this sorted. We actually have to leave tomorrow morning to go to Ontario to go look at a bunch of places. But as soon as that's sorted, we're going to be in business. But I was going to say I had a really good question. God damn it, I got distracted by the house there. It was about what we were just talking about. We're talking about you guys being based there, people being passionate about. Okay, yeah, cool. So this type of style of brewery, which sounds like you weren't doing it for any hype reason. You were doing it, Josh and Paul and your partners. You were doing it because that's what you love to make. That's what you love to drink. The best type. I've heard criticisms of there's a whole bunch of breweries that are in this vibe where they make Crispies, smoothies, pastries, haze, and stuff like that. They're like, what if the trend moves? What if people's palates change from those particular... I think those 4 styles are probably the main thing. Like, have you ever thought about, what if shit changes and people stop being interested in these styles and what that means for the business at all? I can't see it happening if I'm really
not
honest
necessarily. No, it again. I've said a few times already that we're just going to keep brewing what
What
we're
you like to drink.
drinking.
Yeah.
If Yeah, if there's a new style that is really catching fire, I have no problem trying to brew it. I'm not going to release it unless I think it's a high
Killer.
caliber version of that.
Yeah.
It might take a few tries, but that's kind of where the 8-bit idea was born. We're going back to those classic styles, and um, it's kind of refreshing brewing something that you can see through as crispy. It doesn't need adjuncts to carry it. You're letting the esters of the yeast give you all your flavor and things like that. So, um, yeah, I think that's been a refreshing series for us, and I don't really see. I don't see that like the IPA people were saying hazy IPAs are going to die. I just don't see it happening.
I'm with you. So.
It's just too
Not
common.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
Even with that, it's even with the trends,
And
they start to slowly go. So it's kind of it wouldn't be hard to pivot in a slightly different direction if it ever came to that.
sure,
Mm. Yeah, it
right?
doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere, does it? Like, I haven't
No,
noticed anything
No,
at all. I was just curious because I've heard, how do I say this? Like, I've heard people who I would consider haters of trendy things because, like the purest type of people who just hate things that are popular because they're popular.
of course.
Those folks. I've had,
I'm
I've
sure
heard
sure they absolutely love Hydra. The purists love Hydra.
they're all about it. Give me that dragon
number
fruit.
one.
People are saying, "Oh, what's going to happen if these breweries like put their whole business on these type of things? What's going to happen?" I'm like, well, like it seems it's almost like turning the Titanic. Like it's not like boom, like it's like really slow. Like you said, Jared, like you'd be able to very easily identify when, oh, the sales of this aren't really popping as much. People aren't asking for it, and they're asking for this instead. So you can kind of like lean into the new thing if that's where
Yep.
things were going, but also if that's what you like to drink. Because I would imagine maybe all of us would stop wanting what's popular. I imagine that's probably how it would happen. We'd all be like, you know what, I don't really want this hazy stuff anymore. Like,
Yeah,
it would have to be
It-
en masse.
it would be a majority,
Yeah, like I don't even
and
know
then
how it
at
would
that
work.
point, it'd be just glaringly obvious. So
So like any brewery
I-
would have to do it, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and even I've been drinking craft beer for a long time, and I go through phases. Right now, I like IPAs. I go through stout phases. I'll go through phases where all I have in my fridge is Labatt Blue Light, and that's all I'll drink. And,
Are you serious?
oh yeah,
You're not the first
Jenny
person
Cream.
in that area to tell me that. I don't understand, bro.
Jenny Cream Ale.
I love Labatt.
Really?
Jenny, Jenny,
Jenny Cream Ale's my
Cream
go-to.
Ale, Jenny Light.
Jeez. That's what Will always talks about, and I thought Will was just being quirky.
Nah, Jenny Cream Ale, man.
With cream ale, if you want the exact way a cream ale should be brewed, Jenny Cream Ale.
That's the one there. I don't think I've ever had
That's
that.
the best. That's the best.
If you see any other cream ale pretty much out there,
It's
a lot
great.
of them have modeled it after Jenny. I remember my father-in-law was telling me he was up in Vermont at Otter Creek, and they had a cream ale on tap, and he was telling him, about Jenny, and the guy just looked at him and was like, "Yeah, we modeled it after the Genesee cream ale."
All right, so that's the gold standard.
That's pretty much the benchmark right there.
Yeah, if you picked up like a BJCP guideline book, they give you the beers that are like that style. I bet Jenny Cream Ale is probably the number one beer that's listed for cream ale style.
Shit. All right. Okay. See, that's dope, and that's local
I don't know
Rochester.
how old that recipe is, but it's
It's pretty old. It must be like going
Around
back.
a long
around a
time.
while. Yeah.
All right, so you got some legendary. Are they in Rochester, right?
Yep.
So like,
Yep.
okay, so you've got some beer history in the area, and you've got the breweries who are kind of leading the way in 2022 in the area as well. which is
And that's part of the reason I think craft beer has blown up here. Is I think the Genesee Brew House has really helped a lot of people. Plus, when Other Half came here, they immediately collabed with them to create the Jenny Dream Ale, which was a really cool
was that lactose
collaboration.
I think Dream
Did I have-
is there.
I don't-
Oh yeah, and I
It
think
might
it's the first
probably
time I've
did
ever
then.
seen a line for a Genesee release.
No shit. Good for them.
They had it going over the High Falls area, so
Well, you know what? That's really smart of Other Half to come and get their brand associated with a local legend, and
oh yeah, people loved it.
good for that, man. That's super cool. I love that.
Yeah,
I love
even
that.
our party that we're throwing our big luau coming up, we invited Genesee and they're bringing some pretty crazy stuff, which I'm really excited for.
Tell us about the event. When is it?
So
July
it's going to
2nd,
be
Saturday.
early July 2nd.
July 2nd.
So
Okay.
this we used to have a party that was the luau, and then we'd have our anniversary party, which was slightly after that in August. This year is the first time that we've kind of blended that all into one.
Cool.
And Swiftwater, that's also in Rochester, has helped us with they're kind of they're the co-host of the luau. The first one was held at Swiftwater, and tiki-driven Hawaiian shirts, all sorts of like cool props everywhere. And then we did one that was right on Lake Ontario the last time, with a beautiful view. Even though it's a beach, but it's Lake Ontario. And this year we're inviting, I think it's like 35 out-of-state breweries. And the tickets are going to go on sale
35?
soon.
Yep.
Yeah, we invited a bunch of breweries, plus local
This is not
breweries.
small. This is not small.
No, this is a full-on, this is our first big party where we've traveled. We go to events, multiple events a month really, and this is like our time to invite some of these breweries back, and they're coming through huge for us.
Wow, dude, that's
So it's
amazing.
gonna be a great time.
July
It's gonna be a
2nd.
lot of fun.
So this episode comes out next week. So for
Yep,
people
July
watching,
2nd.
you've got about a little under a month to book your accommodation, to get your friggin' tickets, to get down to Rochester. Dude, that's sick. So it's like,
Yep.
is it? So it's like a whole area on the beach that's known. So it's not at the brewery or nothing.
Yeah,
like
it's
No.
it's a community center that you can rent out, and
Oh, yeah?
it overlooks the beach. It has beach access,
That's
Yep.
so cool. And can you see Toronto from there?
and
Maybe on
you
a
can
clear
see
day.
across the whole lake. Maybe on
Yeah.
like a really clear night, you might be able to see some lights across the way, but that's a far way.
It's far away.
That is.
I remember-
Yeah.
I lived in Toronto in
Yeah.
2004, like when I first left Australia. I was a kid, and I remember when we went to Rochester, they cancelled it or something on the day, but they used to have a ferry where you could get your car.
The fast ferry.
Yeah, and it would take you right.
That's
But,
right where this event is going to be.
so it's the same
In
place.
Charlotte Beach. This is like
Yeah, it's right
where
down
it's
there.
going to be.
Okay, so that's the spot.
It's maybe
yes.
maybe like 3 or 4 minutes down the road from where the fast ferry was.
Oof, I love that. What happened to that ferry? That's crazy.
It was a failed project,
It-
unfortunately.
A terrible failure.
Doesn't it make? Well, what happened? It makes so much sense. Wouldn't it be sick to just jump on a ferry and just like ride across?
I'm not sure why it failed, but it did.
I'm with it.
And
Like,
you can only really
I'll-
do that for how many months out of the year? It's not.
That's a fair point.
Oddly enough, wasn't that ferry constructed in Australia and then had to be ridden all the
Shipped
way
over?
up? Like I think I think they made it in Australia and then they basically drove it all the way up to Rochester. I believe is that how that worked?
I mean, they wouldn't drive it; they would probably put it on the boat. But
No, they just drove it, and I think they had to go up like I can't remember
The
what
ferry
they had
right in
to do.
the water.
well, Australia
they
is.
basically-
in the ocean.
There's a lot of ocean. There's Pacific Ocean between.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the problem.
Oh, right, because they wanted to put it on the boat, and that explains a lot. But I remember that being a thing. I remember we had a booking on it. back in the day. Because we had to go to this place called Pleasantville, which is like the movie. My friend's mum lived in Pleasantville, and I went and I saw fireflies for the first time. Like, what the fuck is this? This is a movie. And we're supposed to take that the ferry, but we had to end up driving around. I just love the idea of that, and I always knew Rochester from way back because of it. I never heard of it. And, like, we were supposed to do that and blah blah blah. So. I have very fond feelings towards Rochester. So that's sick. July 2nd, Saturday. Make sure y'all get out. Do you want to just...
July 2nd, yep.
I know I've still got half of this. I'm going to finish this after. But we've been talking about smoothies for fucking 2 hours. Should we bust open a smoothie real quick just to let the people know what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't have one, but I think Jared's got one and you got one, so...
No problem. So we want to talk about... So what's... Jared, which is the one that you have?
So, let me grab it out right now. So the one I have is our collaboration with brewery out in... I'm going to say, is it Portugal, Josh? The Mean Sardine?
What's it called?
Yeah, Mean Sardine.
I like that name.
You got the Imprint. That's Imprint collab.
So yours is called Imprint.
So our mine is called Hydra Batito. It's with a collab with Mean Sardine. They're out in somewhere in Portugal, but it's got apple, pineapple,
so we
plum,
met
and
them,
cinnamon.
So we went more Portuguese fruit in that one. We met those guys. They came into town for the Shelton Brothers Fest in Buffalo.
Yes.
And while they were in town, they came and visited us.
And you guys did a little thing with them there?
Yep. So they did a IPA at their place, and we did Hydra at ours.
Love it. Spectacular.
And then that Imprint collaboration, that Schmoojee a la mode.
That is correct.
I believe.
Which is a sour ale brewed with strawberry, pineapple, coconut, and cream. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, dude.
Actual cream. So that reminds us of like the... Jared said it best today, like the yogurts that you used to get with like the sprinkle tops.
Yes! I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's what it tastes like.
Dude. Yes. Like you're a kid again, but drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've never been a drunk child, but I imagine this is what it feels like. Like this smells...
But it's 7%, so yeah.
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 Mm.
It is very creamy.
There is something... Oh, man. You guys are just on some other level with this stuff. It's just exceptional. It's... There's just something about this. This is what I was trying to get to earlier, like we were talking about at the beginning, which I was going to save to when we drank a smoothie, but I knew it was going to be right at the end. It's just so... This is spectacular. Strawberry, pineapple, coconut, and cream. So literally like thickened cream. You're pouring that bad boy in.
Oh, like a
drum of it.
Drum, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
yogurt.
pumping cream in there.
It's pumping cream.
Yeah, yogurt. Yeah, it is like yogurt.
I've never had a smoothie that tastes like yogurt, and here we are. It's this is crazy. And is this one a collab?
Unfortunately, I'm lactose intolerant, so I steer clear of that one.
Oh,
that's a collab with Imprint Brewing Company.
Imprint. And where's Imprint from?
They're in Pennsylvania somewhere, right?
They're in Pennsylvania. They are doing some insane smoothies.
Really? Eh? So that was why you...
So the a la mode is like a series that they do. So they've been doing that cream style for a while. Really, really awesome collaboration with them.
I love it. And that's why it's like a Schmoojee, is that SCHMOOGE
yeah, that's
type of thing?
Yeah, so Schmoojee is their Hydra.
Gotcha. That's their specific. All right, okay.
Yeah, so usually with the collaborations, we try to blend the names of Hydra plus whatever the brewery you were working with, whatever their series is.
Smart. I love it when people do that. So this is kind of like is it like a mashup of Was the ingredients in this one a mashup of one of yours and one of theirs, or was this kind of like a unique?
Yeah, so pretty much that's just like our Hydra base, and we talked about what fruits we're going to use, and then the like, green treatment is pretty much what Imprint does, and um, they just pretty much told us, you know, here's how to do it, and then
There we go. I guess everything
you're
is
drinking it. That's it.
everything is virtual these days, right? Since
Um,
not
a lot
always.
of it is, but Imprint, we visited Imprint, they visited us, so we're pretty close with them. There are breweries, especially ones that are closer, but we do definitely try to travel to the brewery if we're doing collaborations. Uh, you know, for instance, we just did a few collaborations out west. I went to Alesmith to brew a stout with them. We did a beer
Nice.
with North Park. So
Yeah, too.
those were
Oh,
one
nice.
we try to make it to. Obviously, like the one from Portugal, that's very difficult. So
Of
that has
course.
to be virtual.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. I know that I went to North Park and I went to I drank an AleSmith last night. My friend in Cali sent me some stuff, so like
Yeah,
sick man. That's a
Alesmith's
great look. They're like legends, aren't they?
their facility is mind blowing.
Yeah.
They're they're it's gigantic. It's truly amazing, and their pilot system that they do collaborations on is nicer than our entire brew house. So a little humbling.
It's a little crazy. I imagine that they've been around for a while, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Speedway Stout was one of the reasons I wanted to brew coffee stouts. You know, the first time I ever had a Speedway Stout, it just blew my mind.
yeah, some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, look, you guys. The fact that they would eat like,
Yeah.
I imagine that's pretty exciting for you guys, being that you're able to collab with breweries of that
Yeah.
stature that you look up to, and they respect what you're
Yep.
doing to be like, hey man, come through, let's do this. I mean, that's awesome. I think that's. How do you feel
Yeah.
about that? I
It
mean, I'd be
was.
proud as shit.
Oh, I get goosebumps sometimes walking into these breweries. It really is mind blowing. Never thought we'd be in this kind of situation to work with some of these breweries that like I always really looked up to. Um, Even like Paul, Dave, and I'm sure like Jared and Joe and all of our other staff. Like some of these breweries that we get to work with, it's really really amazing.
It's very cool, man. It's you've really created something truly special in the last 4 years coming up on um, you know whether it's the styles or obviously people would collaborate with people that they like. So obviously you guys are just great human beings that they like to work with. You just make fantastic beer. They're super passionate and really contributing to the Northwest and New York craft beer scene, if not beyond. Um, it's very cool, man. You guys should be super proud. This is really sick. I'm honored to have spoken to you guys and
Thank
to
you.
really soak this up and
Thanks, man.
just to get to experience it, man. Like this shit is cool, bro. Like yeah, I appreciate all of this so much more after the last couple of years when I was traveling around a lot and it wasn't ever nothing going to bucket list breweries, but you appreciate it more now that it's not as simple. And getting to chat with you guys and to really get this story and to hear all about exactly how you guys are approaching everything is very cool. And obviously, your success is very well deserved, very well thought through, and you're just doing really great shit. And you guys should be super proud, man. It's very very cool. Congrats.
Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you, man.
I love it. What's next for Mortalis? What's happening next? Is there anything? Obviously, July 2nd, the big bash.
The party, and then I'd say the tap room. Tap room is
The
the
tap room.
next
585
big project
downtown.
that we're really looking forward to. Yep.
Is there
Yes, sir.
an opening date at all? Maybe it's a little early, but is there anything that opening date?
No, no. construction really has been kind of delayed. We have another project going on that I don't want to announce quite yet, but that's really close too. So we have another little side hustle going on too.
I love it. That's what I want to hear, man. No, it's beautiful. Like, you know, from Crispies, haze to I've had some of the stouts before. Jared's got me. I'm excited to do the as above so below as well again. But the smoothies, like what you guys are doing is truly spectacular. And you know, thank you so much both of you guys for your time and for hanging out and for the beers. This is a pleasure. This is truly a pleasure. This is what I'm here for. I was looking forward to this for a long time. So this is how I would like to spend a Friday night. God damn it! So I appreciate you both very, very much.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Oh yeah, man.
Boys,
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Can we? I want to take a screenshot of the screen. And do you want to hold it for the thumbnail for YouTube? Do you guys want to hold up some cans here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get some of these gorgeous bad boys. And let me get that. You guys got the Crispies.
Hold on.
Get these. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Hold on.
All right. Here you go. You got it. Here you go. Ready? That is gorgeous. Fun fact: I was doing these videos the other day. We did these kind of like shit stirring videos on Instagram and TikTok, and I was wearing this T-shirt, and someone commented on TikTok, "Yo, is that Mortalis?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Yo, he was losing his mind at the T, and I wore it on purpose because I was like, "All right, if you know, you know." So I thought, like, if I do that, I wasn't sure if the TikTok crowd would be into it, but they were. And I was like,
was that the macro lager one?
yeah, the macro lager one. People were furious at that. But it was just a video where my girlfriend, like, it was like a Kim Kardashian, you know, those little sounds where she was like, "No, it's not for me, it's not approved," or something like that. And my girlfriend handed me a Labatt 50, and I was like, "Oh no, where it is?" And then people got so mad. I loved it.
Yeah, I saw it.
It was hilarious. So I was very happy I was repping craft and letting people know that is not what I'm not mad at Labatt 50, but people took it a little serious, you know. So I was very happy to know this. Where can everybody find Mortalis online, guys? Is
Joshua?
For social media at Mortalis Brewing.
There we go. Double check. Yes.
For Instagram, that's our handle for everything, and our website mortalisbrewing.com.
Love it. Make sure you guys check out. Grab your tickets to the anniversary, July 2nd. Guys, I'm just gonna wrap this up. Stick around once I wrap up, and we'll say goodbye on the end of the call. But
sure.
Jared, Josh, thank you both very much for your time, man. I appreciate you both. This was a pleasure. This was super fun.
Thank you.
Cheers,
guys,
brother. Thank you.
Seriously, for real. Everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast. Check out the long form audio so you can hear attractive gentlemen like Uncle Josh and Uncle Jared talk about craft beer across the continent, particularly in the Northwest in New York State. Guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.